Okay, good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us again. Just so you know, this webinar is going to be recorded and a recording link will be sent out at the end of this webinar. So if you want to share it with anybody, or if anybody joins late, you can catch up on the online video. Okay, so I'm going to be looking at Copilot for Microsoft 365 today. Maybe it's a first look for some of you, but we'll see how we get on with it. So not many slides, you'll be glad to hear. So where do you start? Well, there's copilot.microsoft.com. Anybody can go to copilot.microsoft.com, and it's not what I advise everybody to do. It's free. But if you look, you can create a, I don't know if you can see my mouse there, but down in this bottom box, you can type in a prompt and get an answer if you want. But this is out on the web, so you don't want to do anything here for privacy and security reasons. But this is the main Copilot that's free to everybody. But then top right hand corner here, can you of the slide, can you see there? There's a sign in button. If you sign in with your work or school account, you then get protection from Microsoft. And I'm going to move on and try and explain what's happening here now. So slide change. We don't, you're not seeing it, Mark, I'm guessing, but hopefully everybody else does. Don't worry, we're not going to spend too much time on this, but I think it's important so that you understand what is going on. So if we look, top left-hand corner, that little bright icon there, that's you sitting on your laptop, on your desktop, or even your mobile phone. You're trying to use Copilot. So what happens when you create a prompt in Copilot? It's fed into the Copilot engine here, and that does some clever stuff like check for fairness and ethics and all that stuff. It also checks against what's called the Microsoft graph. Can you see that Microsoft graph at the bottom? So the Microsoft graph knows everything about you as a person. Well, it knows everything about everybody, but in particular, it knows what files you have access to, what emails you have access to, what data you have access to. That's the Microsoft graph there, and that's controls what you will have access to within Copilot. So this clever stuff goes on just to check that everything is okay. Then it goes off to the large language model in the right-hand side here. Now, the large language model is Azure OpenAI. It's based on the large language model GPT-4 Turbo. So as I understand, that's the latest version of GPT. Then it comes back. There's another thing not shown here, but it works alongside the graph, and that's the semantic index. Now, what the semantic index is, the importance of that is Microsoft doesn't train your large language model. Yeah, so whatever the data was in, was it 2022, when that was last updated, that's what's in the large language module. But this semantic index is an index of what you do, what files you access, what prompts you use. So you have your own personal index that learns your style, your preferences, what documents you want. So that semantic index works alongside the Microsoft graph to give Copilot a picture of you. And each of you will have that specific semantic index just for you. And then probably one of the more important parts, do you see the white dotted line that goes all around that? That is your Office 365 tenancy. That's what protects you. It keeps you segmented in your own little bubble, if you like. Now, saying that, it all works in its own little bubble, but this is fairly new. It wasn't there 6 months ago. If you see, you have plugins here. One of them is to Bing. Basically, these plugins are a way of extending the functionality within Copilot. So for instance, if you've got Salesforce, you could use a plugin you could write your own plugin in Copilot Studio that would allow you to create a link into, let's say your MIS system then, just to be more relevant. So into your MIS system, you could write a plugin, and then you could bring data from the MIS system into Copilot. Now, Copilot is the easiest link to the outside world you can create, and probably one people will want to write fairly quickly is a plugin to access on-premise documents, because Copilot will work with what's in the cloud, in OneDrive, for instance. Okay, so that's the plugin. There's also what's called connectors, which is the box underneath it. So you then can write a connector that will connect you into Copilot and additional applications. The difference between a plugin and a connector is that the connector, so it's a bit more complicated to write, but it will feed your semantic index and train up on what you do within the external apps as well. Okay, so that's the structure of Copilot, and that's all I want to do for now in SharePoint. So on to the scary bit. Can you see my...
Yeah, I see your Teams now, Eifion.
Yeah, okay. Okay, so you can see my screen now, and what I want to do is get away from there as soon as possible. And this is what I talked about earlier. So we've got copilot.microsoft.com. You go to there. So you can prompt it, write a 200-page summary of Rishi Sunak's time as UK Prime Minister. And if I click that, it goes away and it will finally come back with a summary of that. Okay. Now, I don't want to spend too much time in here. This is the free version. But if you can also see, there's some links in there to see where it's got that information from. Okay. But I want to go on. Right. Can we see here? What has happened is I have signed into Copilot now. And by signing in, you can see my username at the top, but it's saying that I'm protected. Yeah, the most important thing, I'm protected. And I could get a summary of what's going on in the Empire Strikes Back, because it's got access to the web. It goes out to the web to get this information. Okay. So a couple of things to show. You've got your prompt window there. And can you see here the 1 of 30 responses? What that is, you can have a chat string of 30 responses so you can say, you know, okay, now this is weird. How many bananas tall is Darth Vader? So, you know, you could ask it to elaborate on that. I don't know what's going on there, but when you're using Copilot, think of it as a starter for 10. It's not what you want to send out. You still have to read it. You still have to analyze it to say, is this what I want? Yeah, before you do anything. So whatever you use Copilot for, it helps with blank page syndrome, really. You know, you can get started and it'll help you with your writing process. But there's links here to where it's got those references from. If I move across one here, so now what has happened here is, can you see this button in the top right-hand corner, left-hand corner, work or web? So now click the work button and a few things have happened here. Basically, if we look at the list down the right-hand side, these are the prompts. This is a list of all the prompts or chats that you've had with Copilot. So you can go back to them. So if you're working on different prompts, you can go back to them. But also, let's see if this is going to work. I'm going to ask it about Rishi Sunak again. And while that's going on, a couple of things to note. Yeah, can you see here? I'm sorry, but I'm not able to generate a two-in-replace summary of Rishi Sunak because you're now working within your own tenancy. Yeah, you're using the large language model, and that large language model was trained back in 2022, I think it was. Okay. But if I did that in the web and then copied it into a document, it would train the semantic index, and then next time I asked it, it would come back with an answer. So what else is important here? So if I went and said, I now want a summary, I can now, because I'm within Office 365, I now have access to documents that I have in the cloud. Yeah, and I can go away and summarize that again. Okay, and you've got the copy here, so you can copy the text and you can transfer it over to a Word document or whatever you want. So that's the web interface. But another thing you can do in here, if you look at what you have access to, it's people, files, meetings, emails. I'm not going to run anything against a lot of, especially meetings, emails, and people, because I'm doing a demo and I don't know what will come back. So, you know, I just have to be fairly careful here. But I can select a Word document, for instance, and summarize that Word document for you. In the case of time, I'm not going to do that, but there is one more option we have. And what I can do here is you can click on the Copilot icon in the top right-hand side of the screen. Can you see it, the little green icon in the top there? And you have Copilot in the sidebar. So you could then go to a web page, and you could ask questions about the web page for it, just as an example. So, you know, you might be looking at learn.microsoft.com and you've got a topic there that you think is important. So you can ask prompt based on that page. Also, can you see these three buttons here? These three buttons change the results you get from Copilot. So more creative, the prompt, the result will have more description, would be more creative, obviously. A balanced response would be, you know, not a combination between these two, and more precise would just be to the point, to the fact. And that's to do with your style of writing. So you could create a prompt that actually says in the prompt what your style of writing, what style of writing you would like it to be. But when you're at this page, you've also got the options of Copilot doing it for you. Okay, so that's the web Copilot, and going back to the work one, and a handy prompt would be recap any messages, emails, chats from my boss over the last 10 weeks to see if I have any actions, and it will go away and do that for you. Okay, so that's the web version, but this is the bit that's, so when you click on work, that's where Copilot for Microsoft Microsoft 365 comes into life. But if you go to Word, open a blank document, and you're thinking, oh my God, where do I start on this? So you just go, you click on the Copilot icon here, and I'm short of time, but you can say, Microsoft Learning Accelerators in 100 words. So now I haven't referenced a file, but I've asked it to go off and look at my Office 365 to see if I've got any information about learning accelerators there, and basically it's found it based on a file, and now you can say you want to keep it, you want to try again, so you can actually modify that. So that's the main functionality in Copilot. But if I go on a little bit, what a lot of people would want to do, they're presented with a 200-page report about something. If you click on Copilot, in the top right-hand corner here, it appears in a sidebar again. And you can say, you can just click on summarize this document, and it will summarize this document for you. But you could be more precise and you say, ask a question about this document. You can say, what are the main features of Reading Coach, for instance? And it will go away and bring back a different answer. So you don't just have to summarize, you can ask things based on what's going on in that document. Okay, so that's Word. PowerPoint. Okay, PowerPoint, let's have a look. So in PowerPoint, Copilot, again in the top corner, different color this time to suit PowerPoint. But can I find that? No. So you can go and create a presentation based on Microsoft Learning accelerators for 16-year-old students. I'm going to be a bit more precise, a 6-page presentation. Okay, again, I'm not referencing a file, but you could reference a file. Let's say you've got a report that you have to talk about, and you can take that report and convert it into a presentation in a couple of minutes, hopefully. Now, this was a lot quicker. Oh, here we go. So we've got a 6-page presentation talking about digital learning, skill development, virtual reality, coding and programming, and career opportunities. So it gives you a set of slides in a couple of minutes. Don't take these at face value, have a look at them, make sure they're giving you the message you want over. But that's Copilot in PowerPoint. Right, next, Outlook. Hopefully, yeah. Okay, so what we've got here is we've got an email string that it's actually a fictitious one that we put together for a event we had last week. So you can click on Summary by Copilot. Here we go. So it's going away and creating a summary of all the emails in there and any points you need from them. And there's references here. So if you click on any of the references, it actually takes you to that email. Then there is a reply. So if I click on reply, if you see at the bottom of Copilot, there's some sample replies that it's come up with already, or you could draft with Copilot and it will put a reply together with you. My comment on this is if you're replying to a short email, you're probably going to be quicker just typing that email in. But if you need to put in together an email based on Microsoft Learning accelerators to give information to your team, then you might use draft with Copilot. Okay, next one in here is you create you get a new email in Outlook. You've got the option here, if you can see, draft with Copilot, and you can put in your prompt here, whatever you want. You want to create a 200-word summary on the new IT project you're putting together, and it will generate an email for you. Okay, so that's Outlook. I'm very conscious of time here. But then if we go to Teams, I'm going to put in here quickly. Sorry, there's a reason I want to do there. It doesn't matter. So what we've got here is we've got a chat that of a meeting we had last week. Now, this chat was recorded and transcribed. So the recording and the transcription are kept in the Teams meeting. If I now click on this recording, it's going to take me to the recording, but as you see underneath here, I can jump to a particular part of the video. Let's see if this is going to work for me. Yeah, there we go. So you can jump ahead in the video. So you've got the video here to check that what Teams has come back with is correct. And you have meeting notes and you've got the transcript here. Now, that's all well and good. This functionality isn't actually Copilot. It's in this recap functionality is in Teams Room Premium. But if you haven't got Teams Room Premium and you buy, there's other functionality in it, but if you then buy Copilot for Microsoft 365, you get that functionality in there. Okay, so this recap functionality is there already. But you can also see there's this Copilot functionality here. And if I look at my laptop rather than the screen, it's a lot easier. But it comes back with Copilot now, and Copilot can recap the meeting for you, bringing out the main points. It can bring out actions for myself. So I've said list actions for Eifion, or some possible actions for Reese. Yeah, so Copilot can then summarize what's going on in that meeting. Let's say you were late for a meeting or you weren't there in the first place. You missed it. You can go here and you can find out what's gone on even though you missed the meeting. So this is a combination of two other functionalities that you can put together, but I find this very useful. I've started using it now in meetings that I have with customers because I can then use this information and drop it into our CRM system rather than have to write it all up. Also in Teams, there's Copilot at the end here, which will allow you to interrogate not just across Teams messages, but across Outlook and everything, and summarize what you've got waiting for you if you've been away for a week, or you could do this every morning, for instance. Now, there is Copilot in Excel. I'm a bit concerned about that. When I tried it last week, it crashed on me. And I'm running short of time, so I'm not going to look at that now. But the sorts of things you can do with Excel. So in Excel, the data has to be a table. Once the data is a table, Copilot can do things like decide what formatting there should be for some tables. It can create what it thinks are calculated fields that would add value into that spreadsheet, and it would add that sheet. And once you've got that data to a point where you think it would be of use, you can then interrogate that data with Copilot, and you can say, Copilot, what is the most cost-effective product for us? What product can we get most margin on? And it will bring all that back. But since we're already over the half hour, I'm not going to do that and risk crushing Excel as well. Okay. One more. What I want to do now is stop sharing there. And I also want to get back into what I want to do, I want to go, you can see it here anyway. Can you see the slides? As you can see, I was being very quick with my prompts there. But let's put that on to... When you're prompting to get the best results back, there is a structure you need to follow. Yeah? When you start using Copilot, they will be very quick prompts like I had there. But if you start adding structure to your prompts, you will get better results out of Copilot on the first attempt. So what you want to do, what is your goal? So I want a list of 3 to 5 bullet points to prepare me. What's the context of this? Why do you need it? It's for an upcoming meeting. And then you've got your expectations. What should Copilot give you? So respond with a tone that is friendly but authoritative. And source, you can say, where do you want that information from? And you can say, focus on email and Teams chats with someone or a team over the last 2 weeks. So as you get more familiar with Copilot, you will end up saving more time. So Copilot isn't going to take over the world. It's an AI tool that's going to help you in your day-to-day job. Okay. Because we only had half an hour, I'm going to leave it there because I've already gone over time. So just before I finish, just a reminder, our next campus webinar will be on the 17th of April. Mark, have you put a link to the event in there already? Or
yeah,
you will drop that?
Registration links in there for the next Microsoft and the next Adobe then in May. That one will be.
Okay, thanks. Okay, that was quite a quick tour. Any questions on all that, Mark? Or
yeah, one's come in. I'm just going to launch the poll quickly. If you could complete that, that'd be great. It should only take a couple of seconds. There's only 2 quick questions. And while that pops up, so we had one come in. So it says, is there something we need to do or enable in our tenancy for that work button to appear? So I think that's going back to where there's a work and a web sort of toggle.
Okay, so from a licensing point of view, all staff are given Copilot, which is that web screen we had, yeah? To enable that work tab, you need to buy Copilot for Microsoft 365. So Microsoft are given the protected Copilot within a web to all staff and students in HE education establishments. Schools and colleges will not get it for students at this stage. They can use the public one, but not the protected one. And the reason for that is that OpenAI have terms of use for children from 13 to 18 to use their software, and you need parental consent. And Microsoft are looking at that to see what can be done around that. Okay, to get the work button and to get it to work within your Office apps, that is Microsoft Copilot for Microsoft 365. And it is now available to buy. And now you can buy it for one user to start with. Ideally, you'd buy it for 3 or 4 users so you can work together and share ideas about how to use it best. Or you would buy it for a department, so see how they get on with it and maybe try it in a different department. and move it as you bring Copilot into your organization.